Well, let's get it started here. The starting lineups tonight. Notre Dame led by their two seniors, Pat Connaughton and Jaron Grant. They play about a 7-man rotation, so these guys will play most of the game here tonight. Kentucky at 37-0. Familiar names here, familiar reinforcements coming in off the bench as well. The Harrison twins and that massive front line of Towns, Lyles, and Cauley-Stein. And there is John Calipari's 5th trip to the Elite Eight. It is 6 years at UK. Of course, the national championship team in 2012. Looking for a return trip to the Final Four. 21-3 is his NCAA tournament record while at Kentucky. Mike Brey, a culture change here at Notre Dame. It's his 20th season, 15th at Notre Dame. This was a team that was picked 7th in the preseason rankings in the ACC. They won that tournament in Greensboro, North Carolina, beat Duke and North Carolina, and here they are at 32-5 and winners of 8 straight.
Brian, when you talk about a culture change, I thought you were talking about Mike Brey going away from the mock turtlenecks to the open collar. Mike's looking good, as is his team.
Well, here we go. The Midwest Regional Final. A trip to the Final Four is on the line. Joe DeRosa, David Hall, Chris Rastetter, our 3 officials here tonight. And right away out of the gates, Towns to Lyles. And the lob, the big passing's got your attention, Seawell.
Definitely. You have to communicate on defense. We all know Connaughton is going to be undersized. Their shot blocker and leading rebounder on the team. It's going to be interesting how the big guys get out and try to play the littles and how the littles try to do inside against the bigs.
Yeah, that last alley-oop, that was all about a lack of ball pressure on the passer.
And an early turnover as Grant can't find the connection with Bastoria, and that's not the start Mike Brey was looking for.
And here you see it right there. What a great pass right there, and you see just the finish. And look, Connaughton is so hugged up on his player, and that's what I mean. Littles aren't used to playing inside, bigs not outside. It's going to be a lot of communication tonight if you want to stop him there.
Now I know why Calipari closed down practice. That looks like something that was rehearsed.
I'll tell you what, Zach August has got to stay on top of the guys, even on the perimeter. That's much better defense.
How did Connaughton get that rebound? I mean, you know, he's 6'4", and he's their leading rebounder at Notre Dame. And if you ask people, that's going to be their weakness tonight. And he starts off in the paint with the rebound and saying, no, I can handle my own against anyone.
Connaughton, a great player. He is a professional baseball pitcher coming back for his senior year at Notre Dame. Another turnover for the Fighting Irish. Andrew Harrison running the point. Harrison twins on the floor together with that big front line.
Look at this 20-inch height advantage inside by the starters of Kentucky. And if you're Notre Dame, you're going to have to will yourself, box him out, doing the little things.
Here's Aaron Harrison, little turnaround. No, Towns with the rebound, wave it off. Offensive foul. Towns hit with the first one.
Don't know how good of a call that was. If you look at the replay, Towns goes in as his defender, turns his back, gets great position, uses his leverage. The referee says, no, not this time.
And you see the tail of the tape. Kentucky is much taller at every position. Notre Dame giving up a lot of weight as well. But Lynn, Notre Dame's going to spread you out. You mentioned their efficiency offensively. You go into just about every advanced statistic with Notre Dame offensively, and they're near the top of the heap.
And that's because they play a vertical game. They played on the floor, movement without the ball. They pressure the defense, and then they work the defense's aggressiveness against them.
Demetrius Jackson steps back, 3-point try is short, contested there by Towns, and it's Connaughton who comes away with a board, but Towns poked it away. Now Grant gets it right back. Connaughton attacks, got it.
Notre Dame at every opportunity, whether it's a make or miss, a steal, anything live ball, they've got to attack and take the first good shot, which means that receivers have to be ready to shoot.
Notre Dame gets a lot of credit about their offense. They're a relentless defensive team too, Chris. They have to take some breaks because they only play 7, but when it gets to crunch time, they can lock down the best of them.
No, you're exactly right. Cauley-Stein is going to have to work on his post game. He has Connaughton in the post and couldn't do anything with him. If he wants to get to the next level, he's going to have to make sure he takes advantage of mismatches.
Shot clock running down, and shot clock violation. Impressive defensive stand by the Irish.
As you see right here, look at this. This is hard. He's a baseball player, but he's an athlete, and he has heart. Look at him going in amongst the trees, and you have to realize, again, 6'5", the leading shot blocker and rebounder. You're playing against 3 7-footers tonight. It's all on him inside.
Jaren Grant, Notre Dame's top scorer.
See, right now in the half court at this pace, one-on-one is going to be difficult. Guys are going to have to play with each other, screen and roll, penetrate, kick, and the recipient has to be ready to shoot it just like that.
Connaughton with the reverse, had it blocked, but put back by August. Towns denied, but August was there for the follow.
Notre Dame, #1 in the nation in ISOs as well as moving without the ball.
Lyles dumps it in. Karl-Anthony Towns fouled, and he'll go to the line. This is going to be a huge story tonight. Kentucky wants to do their best to get Zach August in foul trouble, and he just picked up his first.
Team first.
Now, Kentucky, they rarely trail this year. It's on average about 5 minutes per game. You figure they're 37 games this year. Rare to trail in a game, and when they have trailed, it's usually been early in a game like this. As Towns misses the first free throw. And substitutions here for John Calipari. Tyler Ulis will check in. Marcus Lee in as well for the Cats.
And Brian, both you and Chris were explaining, you know, the short bench that Notre Dame has versus the depth of Kentucky. But during games like this, when you have the timeouts, immediate timeouts, when you have the 5 of your own in each half, coaches have a way of being able to balance that and keep guys fresh.
So the same 5 stay for Notre Dame. Calipari brings on Dakari Johnson as well. Looks like he's got August right now.
Yeah, I love what Coach Calipari said in the SI article. He says, I don't have substitutions. I bring in reinforcements.
Yeah.
That's exactly how this team plays.
And August denied at the rim. Johnson with another block. Kentucky's racking them up once again. They had 8 in their last game. There's a steal, Bastoria. And Lyles got a hand on that. And when you think you can run, Kentucky stepping in there. Good early session here, Len.
That's the movement without the ball. Good recovery right there. Dakari Johnson looked like he got a piece of that wrist.
The finger feels much better tonight. So painful. He had complete range of motion and shouldn't be a problem for the game tonight.
That is a good report. Thanks, Lewis. And I know it was important for Calipari to get him back on the floor, even though it was a blowout game. As right out of bounds, Connaughton delivers to Vastoria, and Notre Dame with 6 points on the board in the early going against Kentucky.
And that's what Notre Dame used to kill Wichita State. Backdoors, cuts from back screens. They use the aggressiveness of opposing defenses against them.
Devin Booker on the floor. He'll fire a 3. A terrific 3-point shooter, and he hits his first.
And that substitution now, Ulis and Booker, I think that's the most effective backcourt for Kentucky because they shoot it, they have a terrific sense of the game, and Booker is an outstanding defensive player as well.
We can't let that shot be made without saying it went off the glass. That wasn't a good shot. He was very lucky and fortunate.
Another good dish set up by Grant to August. And Notre Dame getting some action at the rim here early against the sizable Wildcats. Changes coming for Kentucky.
So tough to play this Kentucky team when you think about it. The field goal and 3-point percentage of Kentucky's bench is better than their starters. So it's almost like choose your poison. Who do you want, the starters or maybe even the more efficient bench?
Here's Booker again, high arcing shot. Oh, and a follow. Marcus Lee comes in to clean it up.
And when you look out on the floor, you kind of wonder, okay, who's matched up with Marcus Lee? And it really didn't seem like anybody but Demetrius Jackson, and he is not in the habit of blocking guys that size out. 3
starters soon to check in for the Wildcats. 5 starters still on the floor for Notre Dame. Going under the 14-minute mark of this first half. That's out of bounds on Jackson's knee. Going the other way. Terrific defense by Kentucky.
Yeah, it's actually Connaughton inside. Sorry about that, BA, but Connaughton needs to go and find the body. He's undersized. He's giving up 6 inches. It's almost impossible to play in there without going to the body first. He did not box out. He needs to go to the body.
That wasn't Connaughton.
Connaughton was inside right there.
But that was Demetrius Jackson who should have blocked him out. That was his man.
Well, both of them need to box out because they're giving up 20 inches as starters. So it's not about who boxes out or not. They need to go gang rebound because right now they're playing against some trees inside.
Notre Dame's turned it over 4 times now. Kentucky has just rolled through this NCAA tournament. They've had wins of 23 points over Hampton, a 13-point win over Cincinnati, and of course that 39-point blowout of West Virginia to get here. Cauley-Stein, no, ball's still alive, wrestled down there by Cauley-Stein, got it. So active inside, Willie Cauley-Stein.
And that's where it becomes difficult for Notre Dame. When the ball goes up, second and third chance opportunities. Now, Kentucky is really rooted. They're set down low, and their length provides a great advantage. If it's the first shot, you got a chance to block out.
B.J. Beacham on the floor for Notre Dame with the ball here. First player off the bench for Mike Bray. Jaron Grant, checked by Aaron Harrison. Here's Connaughton, quick release. Yes.
That's how you make sure you try to neutralize height. Cauley-Stein's a great player. These guys can get out and move, but they're not used to switching the pick and roll out front, and not against shooters like this where you have to have your feet set. And all night, Connaughton is going to have to space the floor because he doesn't have an advantage the closer he gets to the basket. Notre Dame in the zone now.
Colson, that's a tough matchup in there. Towns can't hit. Here come the Fighting Irish. Grant in the break. Beacham. Boy, Ulis is right there with him and forces a turnover way up ahead. Great pass. Booker finishes. What a pass from Towns. Put it right on the money. Kentucky back on top.
All right. Beacham a little skittish on that first time he touched the ball. You know, now you feel a little bit better about yourself, but again, that Kentucky defense can't allow it to rattle you.
Jackson goes to the hole, had it blocked from behind. Like Booker got a piece of that.
Gonna take a look at the push right here on the loose ball. Looking up the floor, finding an easy layup.
Decker showcased his skills at LeBron's camp this summer. Congratulations to the Wisconsin Badgers. Right out of the timeout, Jaron Grant connects. Little mid-range jumper, Notre Dame on top.
Well, mention about Grant and Jackson both. They lead Notre Dame in their isolation game. They're first in the nation in one-on-one efficiency.
Colson called for the foul as Andrew Harrison goes to the rim. And Calipari working on Aaron Harrison here. Not pleased with what he saw. His twin brother buries the first free throw. So you can watch live games on your Amazon Fire HD, Windows, or other connected devices with NCAA March Madness Live. Watch now at ncaa.com/March Madness or download the app today. 2 of 2 for Andrew Harrison. Kentucky regains the lead. Back and forth they go. This game's got a nice little flow to it.
That last jump shot by Grant was so important. You can beat your man and get into the paint. And I don't care who you are. If you're 5'10", you're not going to shoot over 3 7-footers. And what did he do? Penetrated, brought it back out, and then got the one dribble jump shot. You're going to have to make mid-range jumpers against these guys blocking so many shots inside.
They've had 3 ties already, 5 lead changes. Vastoria goes strong to the hole, using the rim as protection. And Notre Dame makes it the 6th lead change already. First 9 minutes of this game.
Again, Notre Dame's fundamental soundness.
Coming in hot,
again.
Lynn. Good catch.
I was ready to take the charge.
You caught a point guard.
I'll tell you what, again, you talk about offensive efficiency. You take a look right here at the ability to set screens. There's 1, there's 2, and the use of the screen by Jaron Grant. And again, didn't miss a beat. As soon as he received, he was able to go up and shoot, and that's what Notre Dame has to continue to do.
Turned it over. Kentucky out deep there. 4th turnover. That's got Calipari frustrated on that Kentucky bench. Notre Dame ball with the lead. 10:45 remaining in this first half. There's the turnover story at this point.
You know, Notre Dame known to play a little faster pace, but in the tournament they've slowed down considerably, and that's made their execution even better.
Astoria high off the window, certainly affected by Trey Lyles. Ulis quickly back.
Great transition D right there by Notre Dame. Getting back, it's going to be imperative they get back tonight, because as Lynn said the other night, you throw it up anywhere in the vicinity of the rim, these guys will go up and knock it down.
Lyles, he'll step back. Comes up short, offensive rebound again. And Ulis comes away with it. Ulis will take it. Nothing there. Still alive. Notre Dame wrestles it free. Astoria pumps it ahead. August stops on a dime and a layup.
And that's what I'm talking about. Push it down the floor, and the first guy available with a good shot, be ready to shoot it. And that time, Notre Dame didn't even have to face the half-court defense.
Ulis looking inside. Karl-Anthony, Towns, it goes and one.
Oh, that's a bad call. That's offensive foul.
Absolutely.
That's offensive foul all day long.
Unless there was something below the waist that I didn't see. Maybe that reach right there. But that was hardly any contact. But on the other end, Zach August running the floor, beating everybody down. When you're big, can get down and beat the defense, and you can deliver it. You can count on it.
So August will go to the bench, called for the foul. And Towns completes the three-point possession for Kentucky, all tied. 9.5 to go here in this first half.
Boy, but for that swipe by August, that was an offensive foul. Should have been going the other way.
That wasn't even a swipe. That was an offensive foul.
B.J. Colson on the floor now. If Notre Dame has it their way, you've seen all 7 of their players. Another turnover.
Big mistake getting up in the air, Demetrius Jackson. You got to know what you're going to do before you get up in the air with it.
Long range three comes up short by Harrison, Aaron Harrison. Andrew comes away with it. Another chance here for Kentucky. Lyles. And pulling down the rebound is Connaughton.
Yeah, Connaughton got good position down low, and that's what we say, second chance opportunity will hurt Notre Dame. They've got to be able to root themselves, get good position, block out, and take away the extra.
Connaughton is a deadly three-point shooter, but he's also a great rebounder. Has 4 tonight as Grant misses wide right.
It's a little bit bad judgment by Grant that time, trying to take Cauley-Stein and shoot over him.
Up and down into Towns. Little spin and very deep, and an easy bucket for Karl-Anthony Towns. 6 points for the big man as August 6.
Towns by far their best inside presence. We may see a little zone or Notre Dame paying more attention to Towns with the double team zoning up on the three-point shooters.
That is the Kentucky faithful on their feet. Encouraging defense here. Connaughton had to throw a high arcing three up there. It's short. Here come the Cats.
I wonder if they went to practice yesterday with those tennis rackets like I suggested.
That's old school now. I like that. Lyles works his way in. Can't get the roll. On the floor. And that's Kentucky ball. What do we have? Yeah, Kentucky timeout. Lyles got in there and wrestled the ball free and got the timeout with a 2-point lead and 7:46 remaining in the first half. The winner here will match up against Wisconsin at the Final Four. 7:46 remaining in this first half, guys, and the pressure of this game starting to show up a little bit, and a chance to go to the Final Four on the line.
Well, I would say this. You take a look at what Notre Dame's been able to do. 7 assists on 8 field goals, shooting over 50%. And you wonder, game by game, if the pressure doesn't build on Kentucky. This is a far cry from the game against West Virginia when they were pretty much out of reach in the first 5 minutes. Notre Dame is not the kind of team Kentucky wants to stick around and stick around towards the end.
That's no fault of Kentucky, but Mike Bray, the Notre Dame coach, made a good point yesterday talking about Notre Dame and the ACC. They've been a number of grinder-type games. It's a grit and grind kind of ball club as well. They had an overtime win in the round of 32 against Butler, so they've been tested a little bit. Shot clock down to 3. Connaughton's got to go. A lot of size on him. Oh! Zach August with the follow.
Out of nowhere.
got 2 shot blockers going to the basket to block that shot. That's what happened. The guy has to sneak up in behind it. But you talk about this team, Notre Dame trying to beat an undefeated team. Well, let's go talk about Coach Bray when he was with Duke. You know who they beat? A team that beat them by plus 30 the year before in UNLV. He's used to coming up standing against the odds. And if there's any personality for a team to keep his guys calm, it's Coach Bray.
That was 1991. Bray was an assistant at Duke. There's a whistle. Notre Dame not happy, but Kentucky got it deep inside. And that's number 2 on August, who has 8 points and 3 rebounds and a couple of follow dunks in this one. But he's got 2 fouls now. Timeout on the floor. 6.5 remaining in the first half. Zach August on the bench with 2 fouls. That could be a big story here. Unlikely to return this half. August gave the crowd a lift after that follow dunk. He's had a couple of those here tonight, but Kentucky, I think one of their main goals was to get August in foul trouble, their big man threat for Notre Dame, and they have done just that. We'll see how he plays it here, Mike Bray, the rest of this half, Lynn.
Well, I will say this, you got to be careful what you wish for, because Bonzie Colson is a better defensive player than Zach August. Zach August runs the floor well, does some nice things inside, but when it comes to standing up to the bigs inside, Colson may do a better job.
Those 2 free throws by Towns gives Kentucky a 2-point lead. Jackson had a block from behind. That's the 3rd block of the night. Johnson got a piece of that. Ball's on the floor. That's a held ball. And the possession arrow belongs to Notre Dame.
Take a look right here. Jackson changes his shot. Now, I've always maintained, don't try to change your shot. That's when you get it blocked. And he changed it right into somebody's hand. Go strong to the cup. You may get it blocked, but you also eventually will get fouls called.
Yeah, add 1 to the block total. That's now 4 so far for Calipari's Cats. Johnson has 2 of them despite limited minutes on the floor.
That's what's so great about this defense. His man didn't block a shot. It was help side defense. So if you can't see the man, you're going to get it blocked anyway. So he beat his defender, and guess what? A 7-footer came over and did what he was supposed to do, and that's blocked the shot of a 6'1" guard going to the hole.
Jaron Grant trying to turn the corner. Wild shot. I think Johnson got a piece of that one as well. We'll see if they give him another block. And got his own. Now a 3-ball from Harrison. Short. Astoria the rebound.
And good block out on Devin Booker, too. Held him off and went after the ball with 1 hand. Notre Dame has to continue their focus on the fundamentals. As I mentioned, that story didn't even get off the ground, but that's the vertical element of this game, to be able to exercise and execute fundamentals.
There are a lot of games this year where that would have turned into transition for Notre Dame, maybe an easy layup, but Kentucky got back quickly. It's Connaughton, little jump hook, no. Cleared away by Dakari Johnson. Johnson had a terrific game against West Virginia. 12 points, 6 rebounds when Towns was very quiet. Not that they needed him, but Johnson showed Calipari something in that Sweet 16 matchup.
Such great post defense by Notre Dame. They don't have a size advantage, and they are dominating inside. As you see right there, the great and one, the left hand, the point guard Grant.
We mentioned it earlier. Push the ball up the floor. Notre Dame being opportunistic. Defense not able to get set. The 7-footer's not able to get back and protect the rim. And that's 2 points. Fellas know it.
And a chance at 3, and for the first time tonight, Notre Dame goes to the free throw line. Jaron Grant, son of Harvey, got his brother in attendance tonight along with his father. There's his brother in town with the Philadelphia 76ers. They have the Cavs tomorrow.
I tell you what, B.A., I talked to him in the lobby and I asked him, out of his 11-year NBA career, has he ever been this nervous? His brothers won championships with Michael Jordan. Said this is the most nervous he's been in his lifetime watching his son out there today playing.
Oh, to be a dad, right? Yeah, that's going to be a turnover. Got a foul. So a foul on Karl-Anthony Towns. It'll be Notre Dame ball with a 1-point lead. Second foul on Towns, and Bray getting into it. Confidence continues to rise for Notre Dame. Not that they lack confidence. You go through Duke and North Carolina in the ACC tournament. As you mentioned the other night, in Greensboro, you've done something special.
Well, and that sign from Mike Bray, like you said, it wasn't confidence. It was just belief. Belief in the system, belief in his guys.
So Towns will sit. Kentucky just 2 points Nearly 4 minutes of play. Grant gets the friendly bounce, and here comes Jaron Grant.
And I was going to say, you saw the drives by Jaron Grant to the basket. Successful or not, it pulled Cauley-Stein off him an extra step, creating room for those jumpers.
Ulis smartly pulls it back, gets it set up. Approaching the 4-minute mark of this first half. Oh, looking inside. Cauley-Stein wasn't looking. Grant jumps the lane, kicks it ahead. Bonzie Colson runs into a wall. Comes up short. Give credit to Devin Booker. Notre Dame gets back quickly as well. Ulis probing. No. Connaughton rips down the board. That's number 6 for Pat Connaughton. 6 boards already.
I'm very surprised that the Kentucky bigs can't score inside. The Cauley-Stein can't score on Connaughton, who's 5 inches shorter, and it seems like that's where the height advantage would take place along with the rebound. But right now, Notre Dame is out-rebounding Kentucky by 2, and they're out-harding them inside with the heart that they have.
See how much room Cauley-Stein has given up, and Jaron Grant trying to take advantage of it. But the point you're making, see, is it's great athleticism, but a lack of skill, and the lack of skill is haunting Willie Cauley-Stein right now.
Aaron Harrison draws, and he has played in every minute of every NCAA tournament game this year. As Aaron Harrison makes the first free throw. It's a big story for Kentucky so far. They are now 7 for 8 from the free throw line. A couple of big men on the bench in foul trouble. Towns sits for Kentucky. 1 out of 2 there for Harrison. Zach August also on the bench for Notre Dame with 2 fouls. Irish lead it by 2 as we hit the 3-minute mark of this first half. Midwest Regional Final from Cleveland, Ohio. Notre Dame getting deep in the clock here, down to 10. Bonzie Colson, up and under he goes.
How many times are we going to talk about the outstanding movement without the ball and the unselfishness of the passers for Notre Dame?
Notre Dame on a 7-1 run here. They've opened up a 4-point lead. Lyles spins, goes strong to the basket, and 1.
Now that's skill.
Woo, that's a big boy move right there.
Take a look right here. Lyles locating the defense. Strong move to the baseline where there is no help. And what Willie Cauley-Stein lacks in skill and makes up in athleticism, here Trey Lyles demonstrates what skill is all about down on the post.
Just seems like Trey Lyles will have just much more comfortable with his back to the basket. And showing all his skills there at a 3-point possession for Kentucky.
You're exactly right. He definitely is. Just because you have height doesn't mean you can try to oppose the offense every single time. And it'll be interesting now to see what Notre Dame does as this game gets close.
Astoria checked by Booker. Here's Connaughton now. He's got the 7-footer Cauley-Stein on him. And Connaughton somehow gets one up, but Cauley-Stein disrupted it. Kentucky a chance to take the lead here. On the attack is Harrison, and a whistle.
Well, this is where Kentucky can create some distance now. They've got Notre Dame in the bonus, and Kentucky only has 3 team fouls, so they got some fouls they can give here in the half.
So the 7th foul.
Andrew Harrison, shooting 2.
And 2 shots here for Andrew Harrison. Coming up on AT&T at the half, Greg, Clark, Kenny, and Charles with first half analysis and a look at how Wisconsin became the first team to punch its ticket to this year's Final Four. That's all coming up on AT&T at the half. Bo Ryan's Badgers going back to the Final Four. 1-2 we go here. Crowd is up.
And again, not being in the penalty allows the Kentucky defense to get a little more aggressive.
Grant with Lyles on him, going to the hole. There's a whistle. And Jaron Grant to the free throw line here. Trey Lyles picks up his first foul. Just a 14 foul for Kentucky, to your point, Lynn. Grant to shoot a pair. He has shot the only free throw of the game for Notre Dame. He made it. hits the first. Well, he knows absolutely nothing about basketball, which means he'll win his bracket for sure. Conan, all new weeknights at 11:10 Central. It's only on TBS.
That's almost universal right there. But the point, when you're got an advantage as team fouls, you do your homework early. You don't foul them in the course of shooting. You got to get him ahead of time. If you're beaten, grab him before he goes up.
That's the free throw story. Grant's hit all 3. Jaren now has 9 points to go along with 3 assists. He's only turned it over once as well. The #1 team in the country, the unanimous 1 seed.
And having Notre Dame in the penalty, anything less than a post up or drive to the basket is silly offense.
They have to double out.
And Lyles and Beecham got a hand on that, giving up some inches, but able to disrupt the shot of Trey Lyles.
Kentucky, not the greatest three-point shooting team. He's going to need help to go over. That's a great block, but you can't ask him, undersized, 3 to 4 inches, to keep checking a guy that much taller than him all night. They're going to have to double team, get it out of his hands, and see if Kentucky can knock down some threes.
Karl-Anthony Towns continues to sit. Cauley-Stein and Lyles in the front court. Taking it to the hole. Aaron Harrison, wild shot, gets his own. His twin brother gets it back. Here's Cauley-Stein with a flush. And then knocks it out of bounds. What a sequence there for Kentucky.
Once again, the second chance opportunities. If you don't get the first one, if you're Notre Dame, you're in trouble. And right there, everybody's rooted around. They can't stay with it. And what presence of mind right there of Andrew Harrison to find his big fella.
The junior, Willie Cauley-Stein, averages a little over 9 a game for Kentucky. Points per game doesn't really jive here with the Wildcats. They play protected minutes because they have such a great bench. Wildcats by a point. Notre Dame down 1, 30 seconds left. Grant goes to the hole, has it blocked. Gets it right back. Colson, he's fouled, and it goes. Bonzie Colson, the freshman, with and 1 here.
How huge is this play right here? Gets his hands on it, anticipation, and then wills that shot to go in. And with Zach August on the bench, you talk about giving some valuable minutes. Bonzie Colson's getting the job done.
His dad, Bonzie Sr., played at Rhode Island, longtime assistant under Al Skinner at BC. He's a kid who's been around the game his whole life. Back and forth they go. Notre Dame back on top. Kentucky's only trailed at the half 5 times. And you got to go back to early February on the road against the Gators, the last time they trailed at the half. They can tie it or take the lead. Shot clock off. Game clock to 3, 2, Harrison. And we have a whistle. No, a putback. Lyles with a putback, and it counts. And we're all tied at 31. Chilly night downtown Cleveland, affectionately known as the Q, Quicken Loans Arena. We are tied at 31. And Chris, what a difference a couple of days make for the Kentucky Wildcats. That blowout win against West Virginia has been a much different story for them against Notre Dame here tonight.
You're exactly right. Let's say what a different opponent makes. You know, this team is not West Virginia. West Virginia couldn't score. They were short. This team is short, but has a pro-style offense. They play. They have heart. They've been through the worst with their coach. And by the way, they had a tough road to get here in the ACC. They've proven who they are.
Well, I'll tell you, if you're going to follow trends, as I'm trying to stay hip in this new world to do so, 2 trends that should concern Kentucky. One, they've blocked 6 shots, but Notre Dame 1 shot away from shooting 500. Usually those block shots affect an opponent's confidence. And secondly, Notre Dame much more efficient at converting turnovers. Kentucky with 7 turnovers, and Notre Dame has gotten 11 points out of that. Kentucky has turned Notre Dame over 6 times, only 4 points.
Happy birthday, Lynn, by the way.
Thank you.
Let's check in with Lewis Johnson a moment ago with Coach Bray.
Coach, tie ball game, you're half away. What's it going to take?
You know, I love where we're at, Lewis. We're really defended well. Their size bothers you. I think we got to still find some spots to score, but I love how we're battling. Right where we want to be.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
And isn't it interesting? And I believe Mike Bray when he says he loves where they're at. I'm not sure I'm in with Coach Calipari when he says he's okay with where they're at.
No, I think Coach Calipari kind of showed his hand by saying we're not nervous. If you're not nervous, you don't need to say so. And these guys went in with an adjustment, and one of their adjustments was going to the big fella inside because it hasn't been an answer for him tonight.
Well, Towns was on the bench with a couple of fouls in that first half. Comes right out of the gates, gets the first bucket.
Remember, Zach August, 2 fouls, 2 personal fouls. Did not want to pick up a quick third, and John Calipari knew that.
That's a big story for Notre Dame because while August was on the bench for Notre Dame, they actually went +2, and there's August right on cue.
You know why that layup was so wide open? Because there's 3-point shooters in the corner. What are you going to do? Come in and try to stop August from going down and dunking and giving up a wide open 3 to Connaughton in the corner? That's what spacing does. It makes sure guys aren't in their comfortable positions, not where they're used to being. Just a difficult adjustment.
Booker gets to start at half number 2. Little gooseneck and a 3-pointer.
And that's what I said. He's the most efficient perimeter shooter Kentucky has. But the key for Kentucky's defense, they got to do better than they have throughout the season. Ranked 187th in pick and roll back screen situation, and we saw why.
Second 3-point bucket for Devin Booker.
Another high screen.
Ulis checks Grant, kicks it to the corner. That's Vastoria. Too strong. That was a good look for Notre Dame, but Vastoria got a little too much on it that time. Dumping it down inside. Here's Towns. Plowed his way in. Little jump hook. Kentucky, a quick burst here out of the halftime break. They lead by 5. Biggest lead for the Cats. Here's Grant on the attack, little quick shot, and he gets a foul from Willie Cauley-Stein.
Look at this right here. Big fellas out there watching. Set a screen and dive hard to the basket. Don't waste time unless you're going to reset the pick. When you do that, look at that spacing. Look at all those big guys outside. And when you finish like that, you're playing as hard as you can have a little fun with the camera. Now get back on deep.
You know, Zach August has 10 points now. He's going for about a point a minute. He only played 9 minutes in that first half, and Kentucky led by 2 when he went out. We marked that because it's a big story if August can't be on the floor. Well, Notre Dame went +2 in that time, Len, to not just stay in the game, but take advantage while August was away.
And that's why I mentioned Bonzi Colson did a terrific job defensively, also gave him a big bucket towards the end of that game. And Chris, you said he was styling for the camera after that dunk, but he hasn't been able to do anything with Karl-Anthony Towns in this half.
Kentucky by 3 after the 2 free throws from Grant. Towns backing his way in. He traveled. August pulled the chair, and Towns walks with it. Kentucky turns it over. That's their 8th.
Coach Calipari wants a hold and says he pulled him in, but it didn't seem like that on first look. And that's what you want to do when you know someone wants to use their weight against you. You let them have the first bump, maybe even the second, third, pull that chair, make them travel or charge.
Notre Dame has taken advantage of those turnovers by Kentucky. In comparison, Notre Dame has 6 turnovers, but they've gone a good distance here without one, going deep into the first half. Jackson finds Connaughton. Shot clock down to 5. Grant kicks it over to Jackson. Got to get the ball up, and August just does. Count it. Zach August with 12 points.
Marvel at the patience and the persistence of that Notre Dame offense.
August has missed just once. He's 6 out of 7. He's had a number of highlight reel dunks and a strong finish at the rim there for his 12 points. Back inside they go, trying to get August fouled, and it's just too easy in there. Karl-Anthony Towns strong in the paint.
Notre Dame's got to start finding some help. You get the ball out of Karl-Anthony Towns' hands, force that defense to reset, because right now it's man against the boy.
And Vastoria gets inside. Kentucky quickly back. Booker Setting up for Lyles. They're kicking around now. Wildcats by a point.
I like this. Keep going to the well.
Great defense by Grant, getting in and out, staying in the offensive man on the post vision.
And Andrew Harrison cannot hit, and Connaughton pulls down the rebound. That is number 8 for Zach Connaughton. He's been a beast on the boards. Jackson had it swatted. Oh, another follow! Zach, attack!
And you know that during the practice preparing for this game, they saw the fly swatters always going to penetration, and the directions to Zach August was they go to block shots, you go to the rim. And we've seen it time and time again.
Here's Booker, high arcing shot. He was looking for a foul too. What a shot. He is a great scorer. Can really fill it up. Could be a difference maker. Pastoria's got all day. Bam!
Brian, if you looked at that play inside, Kentucky players getting mad at each other. When you have 2 to 3 big guys out there and you're trying to get back in transition and you don't communicate, and you have little guys flaring out to the wings, that's when smaller guys have an advantage in transition.
Here's Booker. Cannot answer. Connaughton flying high for the rebound. His 9th.
Again, another one-handed rebound because the rest of your body is blocking out.
Oh! Connaughton to the hole! Notre Dame basketball. 13:33 remaining in regulation here. It's been a terrific game so far.
That's a shot that August could have taken right there. Mid-range shot he's capable of hitting.
I like that patience right there. If he doesn't want it, I don't want him to take it.
Jackson has been quiet offensively. Can't get that one to go. And it's Ulis who comes away with it. Down is Aaron Harrison. Went right down on the back of his head, I believe. And it shook him up enough for a stoppage of play here. Let's see if we can get a look. Harrison goes down, and yeah, the head snaps back.
But it's no foul. It's incidental contact. Ball's loose. Both guys going after it, entitled to it.
I just wanted to make sure the player wasn't injured. That's why the stoppage of play. Kentucky ball, down 4. Jumped out to a quick 5-point lead early in this second half.
Great denial by Grant right there. Didn't let Harrison get the ball. The play was called for Harrison up top.
Towns back in, going strong. Boy, that just looks unstoppable.
I told you, they're not going to live on the perimeter alone. Karl-Anthony Towns gets a little breather, but they're going to keep going to that well until Notre Dame either figures out how to stop it or they get buried.
Towns has 16 points. He's hit all 4 of his buckets in this second half, and most of them have come from right down there on that side of the rim.
High pick and roll trouble because Cauley-Stein can't get back to Connaughton.
Kentucky closes out well. Now August up and under it goes. Zach August, what a game he's having. 16 points for the junior from Marlboro, Mass. Aaron Harrison, no. And August clears the rebound away. That's number 6
now, if you're
for Zach August.
Sorry, VA, but if you're Kentucky, you don't want to get into a game of hero ball. I don't like that last shot by Kentucky because it's one-on-one. You still have an advantage with Towns inside. You need to keep going into the well.
Under 12 minutes to go. Then you were talking about it earlier, but the underdog Fighting Irish using the pressure of the NCAA tournament as an ally here, perhaps. Connaughton for 3. Too strong. Towns with the board.
Well, you see that pressure build. Not to say that Kentucky can't weather it, but the pressure is building. And the closer Notre Dame stays or with this lead as time melts away, the tougher it's going to be for Kentucky, because the way Notre Dame plays down the stretch, they will execute you home.
Now, Kentucky had a 13-point win against Cincinnati in the round of 32. That was a back-and-forth game, though, and that's going the other way. Got a foul underneath on Towns.
August playing so hard, and that's what you do with position. When you have a guy that's bigger than you hold your position, and you let them do the flaring of the arms. But look at this. When you set a pick, nobody has Towns back right there. Style coming over late.
Probably the most effective offensive weapon Kentucky has thus far, yet he's on the bench with 3 fouls, and he got frustrated. He's scoring, he's creating opportunities, But on the other end, his team can't keep Notre Dame out of the paint, and that is the cause for frustration. Unfortunately, the young man showed it, and now he's on the bench.
Calipari's going to go with Dakari Johnson and Willie Cauley-Stein in the front court here. There's 3 guards on the floor. Here's Bonzi Colson. No. One and done for Notre Dame. Here comes Kentucky, down 4. The overall #1 getting tested here tonight in a big way from the Fighting Irish.
Whenever Cauley-Stein gets the ball at the top, the Irish just play a zone. He's not a threat offensively. They can double off of him as well.
Up top, the lob! Cauley-Stein, the recipient from Harrison.
And that's the difference. We talked about Cauley-Stein's lack of skill down on the low block, but you put it above the rim, he's as athletic as they come.
Notre Dame running the floor, breaking the press. Astoria, little ball fake, trying to take it to the hole, and a whistle. Astoria is fouled. Dakari Johnson called for the foul. Free throws coming for Notre Dame.
You know, some guys just don't have it down on the block, but even fewer guys have it above the rim. And again, a nice job. Split the defense, forced to help. You see Connaughton had no place to go, twixt in between, and Cauley-Stein made him pay.
Astoria hits the first free throw, and Lyles, Aaron Harrison will check back in. Booker and Ulis will head to the bench together. Probably
Kentucky
won't be there long.
Only 1 rebound, about rebounding Notre Dame right now. And if you're the big fellas at Kentucky and you have a guy 6'5" in there rebounding like Connaughton with 9, you need to get in there and box out and use the advantage of height that you have and make sure that you punish them inside.
It's been a clean half for Notre Dame. They haven't fouled. They've hit all 8 of their free throws. 4-point lead. Kentucky with the ball, trailing, dumping it inside. Dakari Johnson working his way free. There's the whistle. And that foul is going to belong to Zach August. That's number 3 on Zach August. Had 2 fouls in the first half.
Well, this is what you can't do. You can't wrap your arms around a player. That's the first foul. And then here's the second foul right here. And so you have to be careful if you're August. And also, August, don't be afraid to ask for help unless the coach doesn't want you to. You have to switch up your matchups on these big boys for Kentucky.
Johnson misses the first. Tired of hearing the same sports headlines on repeat? Get everything about your favorite teams and get it all first. Download the Team Stream app from Bleacher Report. 63% free throw shooter, missed them both. Lyles there, offensive board, put back and 1. Trey Lyles a chance to make it a 3-point play.
And that probably is the first moment that you see Notre Dame asleep at the switch. Poor block out by Zach August. He probably was thinking about the last play, and Mike Bray obviously showing a bit of frustration with his big.
Lyles shoots it at 73% from the line. Can't finish off the 3-point possession. So 3 missed free throws there on that trip down the floor for Kentucky. 2-point game. Notre Dame with the lead and the ball. 9.5 to go in regulation here. What a matchup. Winner headed to the Final Four, representing the Midwest region, and a matchup with Wisconsin in Indianapolis.
Grant calling for the screen and roll, didn't get it, so he decided to drive on his own.
Tough shot. Jackson had that one blocked. Wow, what a play by Trey Lyles.
It's like blocking a rebound. Look how quick he got up in his awareness. You have to love it. But if you heard Coach Cal earlier, he said, we should have lost 5 or 6 games this year. We were lucky enough to win. We're not perfect. We're undefeated. Right now, trying to stay undefeated.
They're talking about the shot clock, saying it should never have been reset.
That was a clean block. You're right. No. Yeah, it doesn't go.
But you saw it reset. You can see the silhouette in the window.
That's pretty deep investigation work right there, Lynn. Nice going. You're right. 25 it is. That's the 8th block, by the way, for Kentucky.
And now it sounds like we're in Kentucky at Rump Arena. You look around here, all these blue shirts, and so impressed with the poise of Kentucky all the way through this tournament, keeping their head and composure. But right now with the Irish being on the road, it seems, even though it's the tournament, very impressed with their composure as well.
All right, well, the officials check it out. So the ball hit the rim prior to the attempted putback. Len, you're all over it. 25 on the shot clock. 9:08 remaining in regulation here. Notre Dame with the ball and a 2-point lead. Jaron Grant, 11 points here tonight. Behind the back he goes. August trying to get it back to him. And that's going to be out of bounds on Kentucky. Notre Dame ball with 11 on the shot clock.
There's where unselfishness probably hurt Notre Dame a little bit. Grant gave the ball up, didn't realize he had an open lane right to the basket.
Notre Dame 20 minutes without a turnover. You want to talk about efficient?
Grant rims out. Harrison with his head up, looking to attack, as always, gets the foul. So Kentucky starting to put some stakes in the ground now. And Harrison will go to the free throw line with a chance to tie it up. Kentucky's missed their last 3 free throws. First foul on Jackson.
And I'm detecting a little bit of fatigue in Jaron Grant. After that jump shot, you know, he kind of moseyed down the floor, not his usual sprint. And as you mentioned, Brian, he has played every minute of every tournament game thus far. It has to have taken a toll on him. He'll find a way to get his blow in the course of this action, because Mike Brey's not about to take him out.
1 out of 2. Kentucky's 1 of 5 from the free throw line in this second half. Grant check by Harrison, Andrew Harrison. Booker matching up with Jackson. Oh my goodness! What a bucket! Demetrius Jackson. His first bucket of the game comes here at the 8:20 mark of this second half. And he immediately is hit with a foul, his second.
You take a look at the drive by Jackson. This is the way Grant gets his rest. Let somebody else do it. And Demetrius Jackson finally steps up. That's his first field goal in 7 tries. Remember, this is the young man that took Wichita State apart, 20 points on Thursday night. This is his first deuce, and it couldn't come at a better time for the Irish.
Karl-Anthony Towns, Chris, is back in with 3 fouls and 16 points. He's been a difference maker when he's been on the floor.
I'll tell you what, defensively, Notre Dame is the worst team left in the tournament. At 100 in this league, and you look at it, that's why Towns says, wait a minute, I can score against the best. Let me go again against the worst.
And went right to August, sitting on those 3 fouls. That was how Kentucky opened up their big lead, their 5-point lead, which feels big in this game, to start the second half.
And they're lowering that bucket back into that well, baby. They want to keep it down there. As I said, the Irish either make an adjustment or they'll be doomed by Karl-Anthony Towns down low.
August pulling Towns away from the basket. Towns has 18 points, by the way, and hasn't missed a shot in the second half. Vistoria, a little quick, up and under with the left hand. Vistoria with 13 points.
That'll show you what a change of pace can do. You know, he went kind of easy, then all of a sudden a quick move caught the defense off balance.
Back into Towns they go. Other side of the block this time. Man, Towns destroying Notre Dame in the paint. 20 points tonight.
But Mike Brey seems to be confident enough to allow the one-on-one play, not change his defense. I think right now it's thinking, let Towns do what he does. Maybe he'll tire up, maybe he'll get in foul trouble, but I'm not changing my defense to allow others to beat us.
Under 7 we go. Grant high off the window. August the putback, no. Gets his own and cleans it up. Zach August. The Irish back up 3. Huge night from August. 9 of 12 shooting. 18 points for the game. 9 rebounds. Back inside the Towns they go. Resets it. Good find. Miles. And it's cut off. Intercepted there by Grant. Turnover Kentucky. Vistoria steps into one. Yes! Calipari needs a timeout.
This Notre Dame team, you know why they're so good? They're one of only 5 teams this season with 5 players with 40 or more 3-point field goals made. And you can tell by Vistoria, he knocks one down. Coach, he has to get a timeout.
Notre Dame with a 6-point lead. Lynn, it's a 7-2 run. That's the biggest lead of the game for the Fighting Irish.
And that timeout by Kentucky has nothing to do with offense. They've got offense figured out. It's all about defense. What can you do to Notre Dame in transition or in the half court? You take a look at the opponent's field goal. For the season, Notre Dame has eclipsed that, and at times they've been over 50%. And for Notre Dame, you give them credit, man, for being able to get the first shot off and looking good.
Let's check in with Lewis.
Well, BA, the timeouts over here for Kentucky have been very intense. John Calipari trying to get his players to clean up the mistakes. 10 turnovers so far tonight, which have led to 16 points off turnover. They're obviously getting beat in the paint. Something to think about. The Irish have been involved in 18 games that were 10 points or less, and they're 14-4 in those games. This one is tight, and it's big.
All right, Lewis, thanks. Tyler Ulis hits a huge three for Kentucky, and it's back to a 3-point game. That's a part of your point earlier, Chris, about Notre Dame, and they've been in those grinder-type matchups. Kentucky, because they are so talented and so maybe historically good, they haven't been in a whole lot of these games.
You look at this Notre Dame team, they're never out of it. They had 6 comeback wins by trailing by 10. That's the most in the NCAA. And they're 9-3 in games decided by 5 or less.
August is fouled, and it counts. He is feeling it tonight. Zach August. He had 25 points in Notre Dame's round of 64 game.
And I tell you what, it's about getting the Kentucky bigs on the move. Zach August making them move, making them pay. And he does a little dance just for us.
As we send it over to Lewis Johnson.
Well, Mike Brain, that last time out, trying to give his guys some confidence, telling them that we've been in this situation all year long. We were in it at the ACC tournament in Greensboro, and defense has been the calling card tonight, right, guys? He wants 3 stops in a row right here.
Well, you know what? The thing about Towns, he's dominating, but August has 20 points, 9 rebounds, but 6 of them are offensive. When you're amongst the trees, man, the big guys have to box out, use one arm, as you said, just like the little guys do to get the rebound.
Harrison breaks free and a dunk. Kentucky needed that. Aaron Harrison.
That was a total breakdown in the Notre Dame defense. No one even close to protect the rim. But Chris, your point is well taken about Zach August. He's constantly moving, and the bigs for Kentucky are having a lot of trouble with that movement.
That'd be just about the opposite of what Lewis just reported from Mike Bray's timeout. Porous defense there by the Fighting Irish. And Jackson is fouled. Tyler Ulis on the foul.
And you know, this is where you worry about guys' poise. You know, no communication, no help on the back end. Yeah, you're up 3 on Kentucky, but guess what? Kentucky has bigger sights than you. They're looking for a championship. Will you match them intensity-wise? Will you match them with paying attention to the small details?
It's been a pretty clean half here. Notre Dame with 14 fouls, Kentucky with 5. Grant gets him in the air, gets a foul, and he'll shoot 3. Dakari Johnson coming out trying to guard Grant behind the arc.
And John Calipari cannot hide his disappointment in Dakari Johnson.
Calipari also can't hide the fact, as you see the easy points, big fellas can't check guards. They're quicker. They don't have the anticipation. You can say you're long and space them all day, all you want, but when you have a pro-type guard like Grant, the quickness of Jackson, the shooting of Astoria and Connaughton, you have to anticipate every move. Big guys can't do that on guards, especially not in college.
But what he's telling them is stay on your feet and just contest with your arm up.
That's going to be a 2. His foot was on the line. That's why they went to the replay monitor here.
That's all you have to do is you got to challenge. You don't leave your feet. You got that length. Make them shoot over you.
It seems so easy, but this is the best team they played all year. He hasn't played guards that could knock it down, shoot that way, and you're a big guy. You go back to habits. You go back to muscle memory, and for your whole life you've been taught, get a hand up on the jumper. You just can't all of a sudden find religion because you're in the final 8.
But you get a hand up, you don't leave the ground.
I mean, it's just easier said than done on guards. It's just easier said than done.
All right, so 2 free throws here, fellas. 2 big men going at it.
No, he's 6'10". Come on, who in the world checks a guard? I mean, we just have to be honest. These kids aren't rocket scientists. They're trying to play basketball while the game is going at 100 miles an hour. To have someone to wait a minute and think, and you're a big fella, you might just need to sub and put some smaller guys in.
Just got a big fist bump from Kenny Smith. First free throw goes for Grant. And Calipari is going to make the change here. Towns re-enters the game with 4 fouls. Andrew Harrison is back in as well.
It was a must for John Calipari to get Karl-Anthony Towns back in the ballgame. Otherwise, from where, with the 5 on the floor right now, from where would the offense be coming?
It's only the second free throw miss for Notre Dame. 1 out of 2 for Grant. Notre Dame's in the bonus, by the way. 4-point Notre Dame lead. Kentucky trying to answer here. Back to the big man, Towns. Rough it up. August, a foul. It counts. Karl-Anthony Towns a chance at 3.
Speaking of rocket science, it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out Karl-Anthony Towns was going to get a touch, and there was just not enough help for Zach August. He could not handle him by himself. He's proven that he can't. And Karl-Anthony Towns didn't really have a good grip on that ball and still have found his way through.
Shoots at nearly 82%. Buries a big free throw. 3-point possession for Kentucky. It's all been going good for Notre Dame, but the undefeated team is Kentucky, and they are within a point.
And right now, with 4 minutes left, you can see the pattern. John Calipari is going to play offense-defense. Karl-Anthony Towns is going to come in at a stoppage of the ball when Kentucky has it. And he's putting Trey Lyles in to play the defense to match up. This is pretty early for that to happen. Haven't seen it done this early, but the 4 fouls dictate that Calipari do exactly what he's doing.
Well, Zach August has 4 fouls as well for Notre Dame. Here's Connaughton on the take, and he's held. Lyles grabbed him on the elbow. No shot. Time out here. What a ball game tonight. We're set up for a dandy. The winner is headed to the Final Four. 3:45 left in regulation. The Fighting Irish by a point.
Kentucky down by 1, and their best offensive player saddled with 4 fouls. But John Calipari doing the most to get the most out of him. Karl-Anthony Towns, 15 points in the second half, perfect from the field, 7 of 7 in the second half, 23 overall. And he pretty much down this stretch has been the extent of the Wildcat offense.
And right now, if you're Notre Dame, you know that you're used to winning close games. You know that you're efficient on offense and at the free throw line, but you must concentrate and take care of the little things.
Connaughton, the first of a 1-and-1. He is true. Zach August, 4 fouls. He sits for Notre Dame. August leads Notre Dame with 20. Connaughton with 8 points, 79% free throw shooter. It's 1 out of 2. And it's Towns with the rebound. 2-point game. Kentucky down a pair with the basketball.
Again, they're going to run a high screen or run a high post action, get Towns man moving and get Towns settled on the low post. Poston is a better defender than August, and I think this is what Mike Bray sees and may want to take advantage of. Bonzi Poston doing the job down low.
Ulis, shot clock to 7. Long 3-pointer. Oh, you've seen it before. Aaron Harrison buries a 3, and Kentucky is on top. Harrison hit big 3 after big 3 last year. Calipari said he dragged us through the NCAA tournament. He's got some big shot ability, and Aaron Harrison gives the Cats the lead. 2:48 left in regulation. 37-0 on the line. Cats by a point. And it'll be Notre Dame ball here. Boy, Chris, how big is Aaron Harrison? This guy knows when to make the big threes.
I was going to say his name is not Chauncey, but that's Mr. Big Shot today, boy. You've seen him all season and the poise. And think about if you're Notre Dame, how deflating it is. You play such good defense and the guy takes an NBA 3 to knock it down.
11 ties, 18 lead changes. Kentucky just took the lead with that 3. Does Notre Dame have an answer?
Zach August back in the ball game with his 4 fouls.
Shot clock at 1, and Grant, as the shot clock expired, Irish back on top. 15 points for Jaron Grant. His dad loves it. Wow, big shots. 1-3 to another. First Harrison, then Grant. Bam! What a ball game.
How many feet would you say that was? 35? Wow.
66-64 Notre Dame. Look at that note. Kentucky trailed in the last 5 minutes only 5 times this year. This is the 5th here tonight. 2:24 left in regulation. A nail biter in downtown Cleveland. Kentucky basketball down a pair now after the Jaren Grant three-pointer.
And I'm wondering, Mike Bray's going to roll the dice. Zach August with 4 fouls. He's guarding Karl-Anthony Towns, most efficient offensive player for Kentucky right now. Runs the risk of picking up 5.
Andrew Harrison looking inside. Towns, he's been big in this second half. Harrison going up and under. He stepped on the baseline. Turnover.
Why did that happen? Because this time they brought the double team. That's how you do it. You never let an offensive player get comfortable. So he tries to drive and penetrate. Right there, steps out of bounds. Great call by the referee, but Towns is going to work too much inside. You've got to make sure you keep people in his vision.
David Hall, the official, was right on that call. Under 2 minutes to go, and now Astoria loses it, gets it back. Now they got to hustle, got a timeout. Mike Bray didn't like the way that was unfolding at all. And Notre Dame will set it up. Notre Dame has 1 timeout remaining.
Good job, fellas. Good job, good job.
So Kentucky has had 3 games go down to the wire this year. They've won them all, of course. Took overtime to knock off Stephon Moody at Ole Miss at home. And then the next game in January, Texas A&M missed a shot that would have won it, but Tyler Ulis and Kentucky prevailed in double overtime. And then in February, in Baton Rouge, LSU's Keith Hornsby missed a game-winning 3-point attempt. That would have also knocked off the Wildcats. Back to your point earlier, Chris. Calipari says we're undefeated. We're not perfect, but they're 37-0, and they're the #1 team in the country coming in to this tournament. And their championship medal is being tested in a big way here tonight.
They're also very humble and very poised, and that's why they're never out of a game. So you know they have tough will. I want to see how they react.
Notre Dame with the ball and a 2-point lead. Notre Dame 9 wins in games decided by 5 points or less, and they've won all 4 of their overtime games, including an OT win against Butler in the round of 32 victory.
And that reemphasizes my point earlier that if you're going to play a close game, this is not the team you want to stay close or want to stay close to you.
Shot clock at 2. Grant steps back. 3-pointer. Comes up short. Here comes Kentucky. Minute 20 to go. Catch down a pair, and there's a foul. Vastoria, an excellent defender, the guy who checks the best scorer on the perimeter for Mike Bray, commits the 6th foul. It's the last one to give for Notre Dame. We'll have free throws the rest of the way here.
Guess who gets subbed back in on offense for Kentucky? The big beast inside Towns, who's been just going to work on that post.
Towns has 23 points, 15 in the second half. Ulis dumps it down to him, and Towns right at the basket. We are tied at 66.
And with 5 fouls on Zach August, that's almost a giveaway. I'm trying to figure out what Notre Dame's thinking. You got Bonzi Colson on the bench, who's only got 1 foul and a pretty good defensive player. Play offense, defense, pretty much like Kentucky is.
Under a minute here. 25 for Towns.
They've been going away from Connaughton. We'd love to see him in the high pick and roll, throw it back to him and let him go to work.
Grant with the 7-footer on him. Shot clock to 7. Grant gets it back. Cauley-Stein still checks him, and he blocks the 3 attempt. And that is going to be out of bounds. And that is a held ball or a jump ball. I thought it was touched last by Kentucky. But no, it's going to go to Notre Dame. The call on the floor is Notre Dame, but they can go check it out. And yeah, I think that was last touch by Tyler Ulis there.
Yeah, last 2 minutes of the half, the officials can consult when there are 2 or more guys involved in an out-of-bounds play. They can consult that monitor.
Next question would be, was there a shot clock violation as the ball was bouncing out of bounds? Because time was ticking down here.
Yep, that's off Ulis's hands.
Clearly Ulis. Officials checking it out. Joe DeRosa, Chris Rastatter, and the shot clock. I tell you,
This is a violation.
You can't see it, but it's close. It was certainly ticking that way. The last time you can see the shot clock is 1. Let's check it out here. It's not dead until it hits the ground, and wow. I mean, there's still 1 on the clock when it hits the ground, but that's tenths of seconds here. This is going to be a tough call. Joe DeRosa, David Hall, Chris Rastatter, our officials. This will be a good look at it here. It's not till it hits the ground out of bounds there, and there's still 1 on the clock. Good work in the truck. But it's not a full 1.
But if you say if it hits the ground, when it hit the ground, it was 34.7. And now we're looking at 34.1.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out again, 1 to 0 on the shot clock. It doesn't measure tenths of a second. So I'm trying to figure out how these officials are going to. He says 1 second on the clock, and I think it's because of the shot clock, not the game clock.
You could see that reaction by Andrew Harrison. They're going to put the shot clock at 1, and it will be Notre Dame basketball here.
Now you don't know if this is 1 second or 9/10 of a second or 1/10 of a second, because the shot clock does not measure that.
Calling the competition committee. Line 4.
Change to Notre Dame ball.
Wow, so 1 second on the shot clock.
As you hear the crowd, good news for the Irish, Notre Dame ball. Then he says 1 second left on the shot.
And you got to
clock.
go quick here. Got to get a shot up quickly. Means Kentucky in a tie game will have to set up defensively once again. What you play here, C. Webb, with 1 second, maybe slightly less than that on the shot clock.
Well, they should be able to get a jump shot off because it's no 10th of a second. So you have to watch their 3-point shooters in the corner, but also watch out for a back screen for a shooter on a big guy, causing the defense to have to communicate. And if you don't, someone could get open for a wide open jumper.
I'm looking at a lob to the hoop because 1 second on the shot clock, you don't know if that's 9/10 or 1/10.
Got a 7-footer on the inbound to Connaughton. Got a 7-footer down check in August. And the shot clock expires. And Kentucky holds serve. They'll have a shot. Shot clock is now off. 33.6 remains. And Calipari's Cats will have the ball in a tie game. That is the first turnover for Notre Dame in the last 29 minutes. You go back halfway into the first half to find their last turnover. Mike Bray calls timeout.
I'm a little surprised now. Getting 1 up towards the rim, you got a much better opportunity.
Well, we've had some memorable moments. They don't call it the madness for nothing. In overtime, Sean Woods put Kentucky up 103-102 with 2 to play after a Duke timeout. Grant Hill the pass, Christian Laettner the shot, and that's why everybody hates Christian Laettner 23 years ago today. Everybody who's not in the Duke camp, by the way.
And I was there. Vern Lundquist and I had the privilege of witnessing that game. Vern made the call. We wondered why no one was on Grant Hill, the passer, and it proved prophetic.
Kentucky fans wonder why in the world would they put that up right now. That's the story here. Kentucky ball. Remember, a possession arrow belongs to Notre Dame if there's a tie-up. All right, game on. Winner headed to the Final Four. Notre Dame is out of timeouts. Kentucky has 1. Who's going to take the big shot? Aaron Harrison has taken him before. With the ball in his hands now. They're going to let it roll. Shot clock is off. Calipari calmly says, just hold it for a minute. Andrew Harrison on the take and a block. Foul shots coming for Andrew Harrison. Doing what he does best. And he'll go to the line to try to give Kentucky the lead.
Well, Harrison got a head start right here. Jackson steps up, and he starts to lean as Harrison does a nice job of trying to sidestep. And you can tell by the direction in which Jackson fell that he leaned the wrong way, didn't take the full brunt, wasn't in legal guarding position. But again, Notre Dame, even with these 2 buckets, 1 possession ball game with 6 seconds.
Andrew Harrison, a 79% free throw shooter, buries a clutch free throw. Kentucky has the lead. Andrew has hit 6 of 7 from the free throw line here today. Notre Dame out of timeouts. 6 seconds left. We got Cauley-Stein and Lyles down on the block. Connaughton and August. He misses. Big rebound, not there. 2 makes. Wow, big time free throws. Andrew Harrison. Notre Dame gets it in. Here's Grant. Clock is ticking. 3 it goes to 2 to 1. Grant gets the shot up. Oh, it just misses. Kentucky has won. The Kentucky Wildcats in a dogfight all night when it matters most. The big free throws by Andrew Harrison. His brother Aaron hit a huge 3, and the Cats are headed to the Final Four. What a game.
Well, let's give credit where credit's due. To get to this point, John Calipari, a great job of juggling his offense, getting Karl-Anthony Towns involved, and then defensively, Big Willie Cauley-Stein, look at him as a 7-footer, stayed with Jaren Grant all the way down the sideline. Grant had to step back, take an off-balance shot, and that's all she wrote.
Consistency, poise by this Kentucky Wildcat team, and you think they don't know that they're perfect? They know they're undefeated, but not perfect at all. Saying thank you to the man upstairs. We made it on to the Final Four to continue our dream of trying to finish this season with no L's.
Let's hear from John Calipari. He's with Lewis.
All right, BA, thanks very much. Well, Coach, you're headed to another Final Four, but how tough was this test?
Well, we didn't play very well, and Notre Dame, I thought, played really controlled the whole thing. But we made the plays. We had a lot of freshmen in there getting broken down. We didn't play a side pick and roll very well, but we figure out a way to win it.
As you continue to try and go undefeated and win another national championship,
look, we're just saying one more game.
Right.
Let's be at our best.
Right, but what did you learn about your team tonight as you advance to the Final Four? This was the biggest test you've had all season.
Well, no, we've had other tests, but this is another test. But we have a will to win. Will to win.
Thank you, Coach. Karl-Anthony, you had 4 fouls late. You were coming off the bench back and forth. Just talk about the performance you needed to have to help your team get by.
Oh, we, just had a lot of confidence in me. I played a bad game last game, but my brothers had me. Just like my father taught me growing up, it's not about the last game, it's about winning. And we did a great job of winning, and we just went out here and did a great job.
There are games where everything looks so easy for you guys, but this was not. Why were you able to get by tonight?
Notre Dame is a great team. I mean, one of the best teams that we've ever played here so far. I mean, they just so efficient offensively, and we just did a great job. Let's go, baby, I got you.
Final one, you've got another game now. Next one's going to be in Indianapolis against Wisconsin. Your thoughts on facing them?
I mean, we can't think right now. I can't even think. I'm so tired. Man, we just did a great job. We had a great game against a great opponent. If you're going to win us a Elite 8 game, this is the team you want to play.
All right, congratulations. Have a great trip to Indianapolis.
Thank you so much.
All right, Brian.
Karl-Anthony Towns, 25 points, hit all 8 of his shots in the second half. Kentucky advancing to their 4th Final Four in the last 5 years. Notre Dame will finish at 32-6, second most wins in school history.